Yeah, was it 7 guys sub 144? I mean, that was, you know, so strong. I mean, I think it does. I mean, when athletes watch other performances, and also I suppose it moves on the mental parameters. You know, when we're seeing 5,000s women's A race. And there we go, the anticipation. They've been waiting for, it seemed like forever on that start line, Tim, and they're on their way, 12.5 laps, the women's A race.
Yeah, they're impatient to get going now, aren't they? Let's hope there's no misjudgments in tempo. The pacer needs to get it exactly right. I always find that funny when an athlete is right on the outside and they zip straight across to the inside instead of running the tangent. Why not just head for the far end of the track where you need to rejoin the inside lane and save yourself a couple of metres?
Well, it's interesting. The only person that was on the outside lane was the pacer. So the other races, they have split them in that waterfall start where they do obviously split them half and half. So it looked like they had most of them on that inside lane. So the pacer was the only one coming across. So looks like it's fast. Remember, we're looking at around about 70 seconds per lap. So when you can see from front to back, it's almost 50 metres, Tim, in the first lap. This is quick up front.
It is quick up front, and not quite as quick towards the back. And they go through their wood. And about 67, I reckon, James, 67. Yeah, it was 67 for that first lap.
Well, that's operating low 14-minute pace, so it has to settle down. Sometimes with a large field, it's about getting out, getting into position. And yeah, it's a tough thing to do early on, is to lock in and make sure you're not running too wide, as that head-on shot shows that some runners are trying to make their way into position. You can see that's Alchilen, the Ethiopian, wearing 5-2-1. He's a 15-14 athlete. So some of these athletes, their personal best, Tim, when I went through, I'm thinking that's going to be obliterated in this race. I mean, they've got some strong pedigree over longer distances, some very good cross-country runners in here as well. But for some, they just haven't seemingly had the opportunity to run a fast 5,000, and that's exactly what they're going to get tonight.
No, exactly right. Of course, you know, there are many meetings around that are very, very selective and choosy, and I hear stories from some of my friends who are agents regularly about how desperately they're trying to get athletes into races and they just cannot get them in. And these athletes are all so grateful, so pleased to be able to race in a meeting like this, organised by their sponsors, and where, fortunately, conditions are absolutely superb. Nobody can control the weather. You can control everything else, but not the weather. And yet they have struck it lucky tonight. And this is going to be quick. There's no doubt about it. 72 seconds per lap is 15 minutes. What are they going to be coming through 1,000 metres in? It needs to be 3 minutes. Looks to me like it might be a little bit inside that, James.
Yeah, we were looking at 2:57 was the goal pace for the Pacers, so 2:55. So yeah, that's operated inside. That's about 14:35 pace. So that's really good pacing. So yeah, they're inside the 14:40. You can see the wave light that the Pacers in front of. So they're doing a great job, and they are starting to splinter groups. So not everyone's on the back of that pack almost. So there's going to be some long, lonely running for some athletes in there, because yeah, the pace up front has been brutal for that first kilometre. But that's exactly what they wanted. These athletes need to step up now. You know, when you looked, I think at last night in the Diamond League, I think 14:21 got you something like 5th or 6th. I think 14:45 got you 10th place. So yeah, these athletes now know that they're going to have to start shifting their own mindset and have to start thinking about 14:30 being a mark that they need to get towards tonight.
Well, Britain's Steph Twell is right at the back of the field, the Aldershot Farnham and District athlete. She has had so many injury problems over the years. Commonwealth bronze medalist way back in 2010. And it's not looking good for Twell at the moment. Let's really hope she can keep it together and move up through the field. But she's way back off the front end at the moment. And that lap, James, 72.05. We were talking about 72 seconds per lap for 15-minute pace. So that's really sound pacemaking.
Yeah, Sila Bushanai is the Kenyan athlete that is in the tall, it looks like a Barcelona kit. So the athlete that was third in the Commonwealth Games last year. So she had fond memories of that Birmingham Stadium and that crowd that roared on Ailish Colgan to that absolutely phenomenal, Commonwealth gold medal. And tonight, there she is. It is a Barcelona kit. I think they do, don't they, have a team, don't they, Tim? The Spaniards are quite clever, aren't they, with linking some of their clubs and organisations together. So I think that's not just a fan of the Barcelona Football Club. I think she's running for the Barcelona team there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love that European model. It's, in the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, and in other European countries, Italy as well, you get these multi-sport clubs. And, for example, Sporting Lisbon, the football club, helps support the other sports, whether it's sports that produce good money in their own right anyway, like basketball, say, or sports that do need some financial assistance. And unfortunately, that's not been adopted in Britain. I wish it were. You get these football clubs that are obscenely rich, awash with money. No, I love my football, but they don't help the community outside of their own sport in a sporting context. They don't help other sports in the city, and I would love to see that happen. They help charities. They do a wonderful job for charity, but you're dead right that what they do in Spain and Portugal and one or two other places is a brilliant model, just assisting the whole genre of sport.
So this is going to be the 2K mark, Tim. So yeah, we're back to the original pace that was requested. That's 2:57 per kilometre. So we're 5:53 through 2 kilometres. So we're right on the pace we wanted. You see the athletes there going through there, just outside 15-minute pace, probably 15:20 pace. And you see Amy Pratt was one of those in the on singlet going through. But at the front, you can see those wave lights are getting away slightly. That was the 14:40 mark. So at the moment, that's not something they're chasing. 6:91. That's an athlete we talked about earlier, Winnie Coletti, who's the USA athlete originally from Eritrea, and she won NCAA titles, running very well. I think it was New Mexico, where she was based in Albuquerque, and she's moving very well at the moment through the different distances, and she's got a great team. I think she's part of. I think she's going to really continue to develop. But I can see her probably ending up being a marathon runner. But right now, trying to develop her speed over the shorter distances. She's run sub 15 minutes, but having missed the World Championship qualifying mark in the 10,000 at night of the 10,000s back in Highgate, tonight I think goal number 1 for her is to make sure she gets that World Championship qualifying time in the 5,000.
Well, Bichenier is leading now. 7 minutes on the clock, still a long way to go. They're not at halfway yet. Now, is she going to push it on here and stretch them out, or is she going to let somebody else take it on and rely upon her speed? It's an option you have if you're amongst the favourites in big races like this and you've got the full armoury. 5-2-1. Just checking. Ayachu is a 15-14 performer. She's operating at something like 20 seconds tempo quicker than she has ever done before. Tiny little figure there. Bichenier is huge, isn't she? She towers over the rest of that leading pack.
Yeah, she's a tall runner, and they are swapping the lead out as well. So I think that's is going to be a grateful thing. You don't want to be on the front of that lead group too long. Given that there's 6 athletes, it's a strong 6 athletes in this lead group. So in just under around about 250 metres will be the 3 kilometre mark. So again, we'll see whether they've continued having lost the pacemaker. Pacemaker did a great job through that 2 kilometres, but it's a tough bit next couple of kilometres to make sure they maintain the pace in this women's A race. Those green lights are getting away from them for that 14:40 mark, but you can see that red light, that World Championship mark light there, Tim. They are way inside that at the moment.
Boy, what a spread. I mean, from the front of the field to the back, it's about 150 metres. This is the lead pack coming down now, as you said, James, to the 3 kilometre point. Anything under 9 minutes would be good running. It was 5:53 at 2K. This should be about 7:50 something. 8:50. 8:51.98. So a slightly slower 3rd-K there. The kilometres have got slightly slower, haven't they? The 2nd and 3rd-Ks, but that's still great running. Way under 15-minute tempo.
Yeah, a slight drop, but only just by about a second. So as long as it stays inside that 3 minute per kilometre, these athletes at the moment, all 6 will be inside that World Championship qualifying mark. But it's just the case now, if they can pick it up, we would love to see that clocking be towards the 14:40 mark. But also the athletes behind know that they're very close to that world standard as well. but also whether anyone can bridge the gap. It looks like it's significant that the winner is going to come from that leading 6, because trying to close the gap, Naomi Chepgengo, the Kenyan athlete, and there's a big, strong group. So Ray's at the back of that as well. I don't know whether she closed that gap. See, Marianne, I think Deki, I think it's the Austrian athlete in there as well. I don't think she's going to close that gap either.
No, and Ray is a good athlete. So it shows how quick this tempo is, under 14:50 tempo. If she can't live with it. All East African, this contingent out in front. Familiar sight, of course. And they are sharing the lead. Busenier now back out in front, pushing it along. She looks very relaxed. Those long, long legs don't look as busy as the 2 athletes at the back of that group, for example. Oh, a little bit of a clip there. I think the athlete in the orange shorts clipping the athlete in front of her. But nobody went down.
Nibret Lemlem, I think, is one of the athletes in the centre of that. So 5th in the World Junior Cross Country Championships. So and a good kind of 71-minute half marathon recently. So she's got a good engine. And yeah, having, when you watch that World Junior Cross Country Championship, anyone that gets top 10 there, Tim, is of real pedigree. So she's stepping up today to the senior ranks very well. And this, if she stays in the kind of pace and company she's in at the moment, it is going to be a really good senior kind of development for her.
Well, 11 minutes on the clock. We're getting to the business end, James, of this 5,000 metres. I always found with a couple of minutes to go, 2 or 3 minutes to go, you could grit it out, and sometimes in severe discomfort, you could last 2 or 3 minutes. If you're in trouble mid-race, a bit like a marathon, really, in its own way, then you are in real trouble because you've got a long, long way to go. But over the last kilometre, most athletes can rally and just make it mind over matter, so to speak.
They can. The next split we're going to get, Tim, is the 4 kilometres. So they're down the back straight. So again, in terms of the repetitions, the amount of training, I mean, they're covering over 160 kilometres per week, up to 100 odd miles a week. But in terms of repetitions, lots of kilometre reps. So they will know this territory very well. And often it's about picking it up. There you go, 2:59, the slowest kilometre of the race. So it's gone to 11:51. So it's still way inside World Championship time. But I expect the last kilometre now to be the fastest. Given that there's 6 athletes in contention, Tim, someone's patient has to break and someone has to be the aggressor now.
Yeah, World Championship qualifying times, if they're still looking at something around 14:50, that is super fast. Bragging rights at stake, prize money at stake, and not insignificant prize money for many athletes in this race. Not all athletes sign 6-figure sponsorship deals. 5-1, they're just dropping back and suffering now is Ayachu. She's a 15:14 athlete. She was on schedule for a massive personal best. That may be just a minor personal best now, although every kind is welcome if you break it by a minor margin. That's still great running. But we're down to 5, James. And interesting, because Busenier is still out in front, isn't it? And beginning to wind it up. I sense a slight acceleration there down the back straight.
Yeah, Busenier looks very strong. She's got a long, rangy stride, but you can see there's definitely pain X on her face and almost a stumble then by the 5 athletes behind. They know with 600 metres to go, someone if feeling, if they're feeling good, has to make a move now because, 5 athletes, it's still very, very close in proximity between them all. And as fatigue hits in, you don't want to miss the break. You don't want to, go too late. As you said, it's decent prize money. It's about now who's going to win the race. They're going to get inside the World Championship qualifying mark. It's just a case now who's going to be your top 3 on the podium.
Well, coming to the bell, James. Anybody's race. 5:07 moving wide. Nibret Lemlem into an attacking position. And Busenier all of a sudden is swallowed up by 2 athletes. She's in 3rd at the moment, and she's done so much of the work through the second half of this race. But has she got the legs through this last 300?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating down the back straight. Keep an eye on the clock. So an athlete wearing at 7:07, I think added later to the finishing line, finishing list there, Tim. Do you have them on your list?
7:07.
7:06. Is the leader.
7:06, yes, that's Medina EISA of Ethiopia. No times for her. She is a late addition. We got sent lists literally a few minutes before we came on air, but it is Medina EISA, EISA of Ethiopia.
Well, put that name into your Wikipedia of runners, because Asia is coming down towards the finishing line, 7:06. She didn't have a lifetime best, but she's absolutely smashed it on the track there, 14:46.63, and it's well, you can see that's a fantastic time. Those times there should have been updated, because that world lead is obviously from last night, the 14:05. Some big times behind. You can see they've beaten the wave light. So it's going to be interesting to see how many have gone inside that 14:57 best time. EISA there, that's 14:46, Tim. That's a minute and 14 seconds faster than the meet record set 12 months ago. This meet is going from strength to strength.
Yeah, and I suspect that enough athletes will see this tonight and will want to come back next year, and the times will move on a stage next year as well. It's been quite superb. 14:46.60